And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Blinkers Off. Springers in the air. Washaki went 152.5 in the Be Good Johnny Sprint at Albion Park Saturday night, but he's got to come up against Smokin' Up in the Gold Coast Cup next Saturday night. And I say, welcome back, Chris Barsby. Smokin' Up is on the way. In fact, he's here right now.
Yeah, that's great news for the Carnival. Looking forward to the Gold Coast Cup this Saturday night, the QPC the following week, and he adds a whole new dimension to these races now. Washaki, excellent on the weekend, downing Mr. Feelgood, but when you throw into the mix Smokin' Up, this is going to be one heck of a race.
There'd been some conjecture whether he was going to come or not, whether they wanted to fly him or road him up, and in the end he's come by road. But it's good to have him here. I mean, McCarthy's probably won't think that, but it does add an extra dimension and an important dimension to these big races.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It really changes the dynamics, and especially with his style of racing. Lance Justice, as we know, very aggressive. He leaves nothing to chance, and I'm sure that this is going to be a genuine run race this week, and it'll be much the same the following week in the QPC.
Yeah, it's the Kevin and Kay Seymour Cup this Saturday night at the Gold Coast. Then the Queensland Pacing Championship for Garrards the following Saturday night at Albion Park. Albion Park race this Friday night. Other news, Chris, a big show coming up tonight. I'm the Mighty Quinn, some news there.
Yeah, he trialled yesterday, trialled over the weekend in Perth at Bayford, in fact, yesterday for Gary Hall. Trialled very well, won the trial. He wants to give him another trial before he resumes, but at this point in time, he's back to his brilliant best time, the Mighty Quinn, so he's ready to go.
Whilst we're in the West, some news on Ross Oliveri.
Yeah, this long-running inquiry in regards to the TCO2 case. This stems back to August 12. The runner in question is Sandler. This will reconvene tomorrow, and if my mail's right, he might be able to beat this charge, so we'll just have to wait and see.
My mail is Sushi. Sushi is back in work?
Yeah, he's been back jogging for about 2 weeks, so in the time that I've been away, he's been back. So he had that dream season, undefeated as a 3-year-old, claiming many features, so it's good to see that he's back on the track, jogging along well.
In Kiwi land, some news on Liz again.
Liz again, this is the recent import for Tim and Anthony, but he has come straight to Australia. Of course, they had a runner at Menangle on Saturday night with Raglan. Liz again is in Sydney. The ultimate aim with Liz again is obviously going to be the Miracle Mile, but he's in Sydney, so look out for him in the coming weeks.
Okay, now news coming through that Ian Gurney has renewed his relationship with some of the horses that he had originally.
Yeah, this goes along with Paul Montgomery, the owner. Horses like Bailey's Magic and Jimmy Jaslong, they trialled last Thursday. Mac Alert, Dickie's Bromac. Now, when we see these horses resume, it's likely it's going to be in Sydney around Miracle Mile Carnival time. So look out for those horses. They're all very, very good. So it's going to be Sydney first up for those horses for Paul Montgomery.
News that Rosamac has had a stable change now with Vicky Rasmussen and Shane Graham. And speaking of that name, Rasmussen, Rasmussen appeared in the winners list in New Zealand on the weekend.
Yeah, taking out the Group 3 Methven Cup for Mark Purdon and Grant Payne. The horse in question was Viet Animo, tracked up 3 wide, charged down the outside and won that feature on the grass very impressively. So that brings up Natalie's first winner in New Zealand, and it just so happens that it was a feature, a Group 3 Cup. So congratulations to Natalie.
Well, newshounds like you just don't rest. You've been on holidays, but a working holiday because you've got some news from the States where you've been.
Yeah, plenty of news over there. We attended the Lexington yearling sales. Christian Cullen had his first and only crop go through. Top price for a Christian Cullen colt, $170,000. Caught up with Noel Daly. He's due back in Australia later this year. Caught up with Andy McCarthy. He's also due back probably by December. Aaron Lambert, who's been doing very well up there, he's going to come back to Australia for the first time in 12 years. He hasn't returned to Australia since he first made that move 12 years ago, so he's due back just after Christmas time. Nifty Norman also coming back around Miracle Mile time. So it's going to be great to see these familiar faces back in Australia. There's been a few inquiries about a few good horses up there. One in particular from a Queensland-based owner offered a huge 6-figure sum for Big Bad John, the recent Little Brown Jug winner. So we'll just have to watch this space. I'm told the offer was knocked back, but they'll keep chipping away there.
Good to have you back, Chris. And as we said, a big show coming up. Our second part of the Bruce Birch feature is later in the program, and also highlights from Albion Park, including Washaki's win. There's been many great moments in Queensland harness racing. Let's enjoy one of them right now. The 2001 Inter-Dominion was the 4th time Albion Park had staged harness racing's Jewel in the Crown, with Dean and Kelly Shannon's Toast.com being the major sponsor. And history was created with the Trotter Series also being staged in conjunction with the Pacers. With a $500,000 purse, Australasia's best pacers converged on Albion Park for the traditional 3 heats and finals concept, and the racing in the lead-up to the grand final was spectacular, with the likes of the highly popular Courage Under Fire and Brian Hancock earning a place in the grand final with 2 heat wins, and the defending champion Shakermaker and his trainer-driver John Justice making sure they would be there on grand final night, also winning 2 of their 3 heats. And the New South Wales visitor at it again, and his trainer-driver Dennis Wilson were ready to make their impact after going through the series undefeated. But it was to be a New Zealand victory when Yule Star and Tony Shaw boomed home down the outside to capture Australasia's harness racing's greatest prize. And his trainer Lorraine Nolan created history being the first woman trainer to prepare an Inter-Dominion winner. Yule Star beat At It Again and Pocket Me in a mile rate of 1:56.2 for the 2,647 metres. As is Inter-Dominion custom, the handing over of the flag ceremony takes place on grand final night, and New South Wales Harness Racing Club chairman Tony McGrath was on hand with that state to host the 2002 series at Harold Park. And with Vince Silvestro and his fantastic fireworks and horse display, so ended the 2001 Inter-Dominion with almost 20,000 people in attendance on grand final night. The 2001 Inter-Dominion, a Queensland harness racing moment in time.
Yeah, some great memories there of the 2001 Inter-Dominion. How sad that the Inter-Dominion has now been bungled completely by the New South Wales Harness Racing Club and Harness Racing Australia. But more about that next week. Let's take a break. Welcome back to the program. Hope you're enjoying the show. Tonight we go to part 2 of the life and times of very clever Gold Coast trainer Bruce Birch.
Bruce, success in Australia has been good to you in recent years, in particular with the claimers. You've had a lot of success in the claiming ranks.
Yeah, absolutely. Richie and I we shared the responsibility with me and Jim. We've had Gold Chance, Streetum. For the likes of those sort of horses, they were all going around. Like, I don't think me and Jim won a race in about 3 years before we got him, and all of a sudden he come out and won about $80,000 in about a handful of starts. So he went very good. Gold Chance, he was going good for Peter Gregg at the time, and we managed to snag him, and he won about $40,000 and won about 8 races in a season. There's a handful of them that we've sort of risen from no form, I guess, to having some nice form and making some nice money for the season. So
another horse that's been very good to you from the claiming ranks, Costa Razoo.
Costa Razoo, he was horse of the year up at Redcliffe. I think he won about $43,000 for the year, and it's a lot of money when you're talking $3,000 races, and very, very consistent. We seem to get our horses, once we get them going good and get them looking good and bright and as good as we can get them, we seem to be able to hold them there for a long period of time, like the whole season. It's not just one-hit wonders and one run. We seem to be able to get them racing consistently over the whole year, which is we're real happy about that.
You're very partial to the square gators as well. What's the love affair with the trotters for you?
Well, just winning races, I guess. But I don't know. Trotters are different. When you sit behind a nice trotter and you get the feel of a nice trotter, there's no better feeling than winning a race on a trotter, because there's a bit more that goes to it, to driving a trotter and training a trotter, than a pacer. Pacers, anybody can win a race with a pacer, I think, but those trotters, there's a little bit of an art to it, and I'm far from having that art. I'm doing very well at the moment, but there's people out there with 30, 40 years experience that have trotters that you can always learn and I'm sure they're still learning. So
one of the stable stars currently is King Galleon. You've got him absolutely flying, and I'm sure you're looking at the Darrell Alexander Memorial coming up in the month of October with him.
Look, he is going to be very, very hard to beat in that. Very hard to beat. He's going to be a strong competitor. He's going to be a little bit better than what he's going at the minute, because he's had a few problems along the way, and I think that's why people have had problems with him. But the first couple of starts and the second, I haven't really got any vet work to him or anything like that. But we've just had the vet here yesterday, and he's fixed him up a little bit and injected a few joints and things. So I think you're going to see a better horse even still. When I first started driving him, I came off the track and I said, he is me and Jim without hobbles. Same feel. You could drive him exactly how you wanted to drive him. There's no set way you got to drive him. He's as calm and cool as a cucumber until you get the cart on at the race day, and then he starts shaking. I think that's a good sign of a nice horse, because they know it's time to rock and roll.
Good success is followed up with a good support crew. You've got that.
Absolutely. No, I've got some great people that work for us. Nigel O'Hearn and Elizabeth plays a big part in it. Richie Hooper, he's just come back from Bali and he's helping out a little bit. But I've got some great owners. Greg Mitchell's the backbone of the barn, and Ray Stewart and Bob. We just got some good owners that are just sort of battling away and chipping away at some not so as I say, we haven't got a top notch horse, but we've got some nice consistent horses.
Are you looking for new owners to enter the stable?
Absolutely. I need some owners that are going to throw a bit of trust my way and see the job that we've done so far with not bad horses, but horses that have been washed up, so to speak. And we'd like to get a nice horse in the barn that we could really see what we could do with them.
The current stable star on the pacing side is Waipawa Lord. He's now won 2 features at Albion Park. He's raced by Greg Mitchell. He's been a good success story since coming across from New Zealand.
Absolutely. Like we got him from Tony Herlihy, and he's a nice horse. I think he got him here landed for about 30,000. But look, he's gonna well and truly make that and do a nice job. I don't know how far he can go. He just touches the knee a little bit out wider on the track when he comes around them, but he's a very, very strong horse, and if we can get him going a bit straighter and off that knee a little bit, sky's the limit for him. He could make a nice open horse.
Looking to the future, you're after new owners, you want more horses, better class horses. The future down here at the Gold Coast is shrouded in a little bit of uncertainty. What do you think about the future?
Look, I think they're definitely going to close this place down. That's just the way the talk is and everything like that. They're going to have the new election and all that sort of stuff. So we'll wait until June next year and we'll see what all the talk is. We won't panic. We'll just keep chipping away and doing the job we're doing. And once they make a decision in concrete, what's going to happen to the future of the track and the barns that we're rent out at the moment, then we'll look at maybe buying some acreage and building very, very similar tracks to the Gold Coast track with the heavy sand track on the inside and a good track on the outside, because you can't build a house with a bad hammer.
Well, until then, you're just going to keep getting the winners.
Absolutely, yep, without a doubt. No, we'll be doing the best we can and pressing on.
Bruce, appreciate your time today.
No worries. Thanks very much for having me on the show.
Yes, Chris Barsby there with Bruce Birch. We'll take a break, then come back and look at the highlights of Albion Park Racing on Saturday night with Washaki, brilliant in the Be Good Johnny Sprint. Queensland's Harness Racing Spring Carnival began at Albion Park on Saturday night with the Be Good Johnny Sprint, a listed $25,000 race. The McCarthy stable certainly had the numbers in the small field. Let's have a look at the action.
Green light racing now, and Mr. Feelgood came out quickly straight to the lead, and Washaki will trail. Down the outside was Ultimate Pride into third, followed by Vinny Boy in the light of day, and Be Good Johnny drops out to the tail of the field. Mr. Feelgood opened up 3 lengths on, settling down into the first corner over Washaki. Being restrained now was Ultimate Pride. Vinny Boy goes through on the inside. Then came In the Light of Day, and 2 off to Be Good Johnny at the tail of the field. Running down the back at the 600 metres mark, Mr. Feelgood 2 lengths in front of Washaki. Vinny Boy is in third. Coming away from the marker pegs In the Light of Day, tracked up by Be Good Johnny, and Ultimate Pride called it a night. Heading on to the back bend at the 500 metres mark. Mr. Feelgood full of running, leaves by a length and a half. Washaki about to peel off his back. In the Light of Day third, followed by Vinny Boy. Be Good Johnny now comes out wide, and a break to Ultimate Pride. Third quarter 27.5. He's got the clock rocking. Mr. Feelgood comes around the home turn, a length in front. Washaki to the outside, followed by Vinny Boy. Then In the Light of Day and Be Good Johnny. Mr. Feelgood in front. He has to go for him. Washaki's after him. Washaki's got him. Washaki's back on top tonight. Washaki beat Mr. Feelgood. Third home Vinny Boy, followed by In the Light of Day, Be Good Johnny, and a break to Ultimate Pride last of all.
John McCarthy joins us. John, not quite the result we all expected tonight, but the Quinella to the stable and great runs by both horses.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I probably thought Mr. Feelgood would win the race from the barrier, and he ran a good race. They've gone 52.5, and he wasn't beaten that far, and probably looking back now, he hadn't raced for 12 days. Maybe he just needed that little bit of a tighten up, whereas Washaki had a hard run last week and tightened him right up for tonight and had the cold sit on him too. So I think both horses went good, and it'll do them really good for the next race coming up.
You drove Mr. Feelgood. good times, 27.5 down the back. Were you happy with that?
Probably, when I look back, I probably might have went a little bit quick down the back, you know, but he's a deceiving sort of a horse. He just takes a hold here a bit and covers a fair bit of ground. And, yeah, I was a little bit shocked that he went 27.5, but, you know, I think he probably can do that with that run under his belt now. He'll tighten right up and he'll probably go really good next week.
Okay, well, let's now talk about Washaki. We all know how good he is. Last week's run, you mentioned, you know, it was his first run for a little while, so he obviously was improved with that run. He was disappointing last week, John. What did you do with him during the week? Did you freshen him up or change your tactics at all?
Probably worked him a little bit harder, if anything, because he hadn't raced for a month leading into last week's race, and you know, he didn't have a lot of luck in the race, and had to do a fair bit of work, and you know, but that in hindsight, that probably done him the world of good, and I just probably worked him a tab harder during the week. But you know, people have got to remember he did go 150 round Menangle, and then it only took Smoking Up to beat him. Like so, he did hold the record there until Smoking Up got it off him.
Well, that's right. You don't become a Grand Circuit horse and earn over $1 million in prize money if you're not a good quality horse, and we all know that he is. And I suppose the owners in Western Australia would have been thrilled with that win tonight.
Oh, for sure. And you know, with Washaki also, like he didn't have to be used off the gate tonight just to wait because it was such a small field. He seems to go a little bit better that way, but you got to go with what barriers you get. And you know, he had a nice run on Mr. Feelgood, so you know, he was probably entitled to get the cash.
Okay, so in summarising what you're saying, John, Washaki's right up to the mark now, and Mr. Feelgood will be improved with that run under his belt. Now, both of those horses, I would assume, would go to the Gold Coast next Saturday night?
Yeah, they'll both go there, and then we'll aim up for the QPC the week later after that. They should be, you know, they'll be really cherry ripe for next week, that's for sure.
Okay, now drivers, the connections of Mr. Feelgood, they're not going to sack you, are they?
Well, who knows? No, Kevin and Kay, they're really great. They're, you know, they're good losers as well, and you know, that's just the way it goes. But no, Luke should be back next week, I hope. You know, his wife's just due to have a bub, so that's why he hasn't been here tonight. And we're hoping she's had it by next week, or he probably won't be here again. But no, but Shane done a great job on Washaki, so if Luke doesn't come, well, I'll definitely leave Shane on Washaki.
All right, mate, thanks for your time tonight. Congratulations on cornellaring the Be Good Johnny sprint, and we certainly look forward to hearing some good news from the Luke McCarthy stable over the next couple of days with their first child.
Thanks, Damien. Good on you.
John McCarthy there. Quick question before we go to our other replays. Is Smoking Up got plenty on with Sharky, Mr. Feelgood, at this very point?
Oh, I think he's clearly the benchmark horse in Australasia right now, Smoking Up. He's proved that in the past season, winning the Inter-Dominion in New Zealand, the Miracle Mile. He's the fastest horse in the Southern Hemisphere. So if you were framing a market, he would have to be the favourite, Smoking Up.
Mr. Feelgood disappointing? I know they went 52.5, but he's seemed a little disappointing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Face value, he was disappointing. Washaki beat him, and he beat him quite easily at the finish. He raced away over the final 50 and seemed to have a little bit more up the sleeve, Washaki. But I'm sure by QPC time, you know, he'll be ready to rock and roll 100%. I'm still not convinced that he can beat Smoke It Up next week at the Gold Coast, but come QPC time, I think he'll be ready to run.
Okay, let's have a look at race 1 from Albion Park on Saturday night. Glengarry Sunrise, the winner here.
It's Murphac Prince, the leader, by a long head. The outside was Albert's Charm. Third, the inside, Glengarry Sunrise. Our Sandfly waiting to pounce, one out, one back. Followed then by Just Call Me Joe. In the centre was Less Dramatic. Now out 3 wide, starting a run was Motu Fella. Followed then by Get Up the Avenger, Cullen Hanover, Bruley Charlie and Well Caught Marsh. Third quarter, 29.2 down the side at the 300 metres mark. The inside, Murphac Prince, joined by Albert's Charm. A length away, Glengarry Sunrise, followed by then came our Sandfly in front of Just Call Me Joe as they spin around the final bend of the 200. Murphac Prince leads for home. Glengarry Sunrise goes back to the sprint lane. Under pressure was Albert's Charm. The leader still is Murphac Prince coming through. Glengarry Sunrise. Glengarry Sunrise hit the lead. Coming again, Albert's Charm, but Glengarry Sunrise. Glengarry Sunrise beat Albert's Charm. Third home was Murphac Prince, followed by Just Call Me Joe.
Well, Trent, Glengarry Sunrise fresh to your stable, but came out of the gate nicely and was well positioned. He seemed to do the job well.
Yeah, we had a nice barrier there tonight, and we got to use him, get across the one horse early, and you know, copped a little bit of pressure mid-race, take the sit eventually, but he got a nice trip at the end of the day, and probably the main dangers were working a bit harder than we were, so we were fortunate.
Did you think you could lead all the way?
Initially, I was planning on trying to lead, but you've got to be fluid with your intentions these days, and you can't run down to suicidal first halves and still expect to get home. So we took the set, which panned out really well for us.
Probably was the winning move, because as you mentioned, your main Dages were then doing lots of work, and you were just able to give him a nice breather. When he found the sprint lane, he didn't dash, but he just kept coming.
Yeah, like as much as the first quarter wasn't hard, down by the half there, I sort of still had to pick him back up and get him to feel good again, and he swelled back up a bit, but it took him a while to collar him down the straight, but he got the job done. Margins they don't pay on margins, so we'll be happy with that tonight.
That's right. Now, you haven't had the horse very long, less than 3 weeks?
Yeah, I got the horse off the Turpin family, and they obviously done a fantastic job with him. He, pretty much I just had to maintain his fitness, keep him where he was for the last 3 weeks, and, they won last start with him, so probably the credit goes to them for this one tonight.
Yeah, very fit horse, and that was the difference in the last 50 metres of the race. M1, we've seen him in claimers before. He's on a tough mark now. Where now for the horse, Trent?
Well, I'm hoping my good sister Kelly will let me utilise her services next week and put a claim on. And if the handicap is listening, another barrier one would just be perfect or something. But hopefully we can pick up another one there, and then we'll probably have to look to the claimers and just try and race him where he can stay competitive. Because that's the aim of the game.
All right, mate. Nice job tonight. Well done.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Yes, Trent Dawson successful on Glengarry Sunrise for the Dawson family. Another Dawson features in race 2, this time Kelly Dawson on Funny Boy. Here's the replay.
3 wide now into third spot comes Funny Boy. Back behind the leader was Doug's Place. Caught up in the centre, Jack Lemon, followed by Rebby. 3 wide with a card home was Ark Munro. Getting shuffled back, Grey Steel, our Archangel. And Franco emerges back at the tail of the field at the 400 metres mark. 29.7 the third quarter. Slick Shandon is a half length in front. Artifact of being niggled at. 3 wide coming into it was Funny Boy. Back behind them was Doug's Place. Held up at the moment Jack Lemon. Right to the outside was Ark Munro, and the widest runner, our Archangel, as they straighten up at the 200 metres mark. Slick Shandon beaten. Reaching the lead was Funny Boy. Doug's Place goes back to the inside. Here's Ark Munro and our Archangel. In front is Funny Boy. Trying hard Ark Munro, but Funny Boy in front holding on, and Funny Boy beat Ark Munro. Our Archangel third, followed by Doug's Place.
Well, Kelly, tough win by Funny Boy. He sustained a long run but was strong at the end.
Yeah, he was strong in the end. They did run really hard early, which made it for him, but, he had to do the work over the final stages.
He's been a good horse since he's come across from New Zealand. He was dropping in grade tonight, and if the horse was at his top, he was certainly a strong chance in that race.
Yeah, I did put him into the race, he has been racing the free-for-all horses and not disgracing himself at that either. It was a massive drop in class, but there was some really nice horses there.
As you mentioned, Kelly, the speed in the early and middle stages of that race suited a horse back in the field. You had to make your move at the 800, didn't you, to get into that race?
Yeah, we had no option in sitting back. We knew we were going to have to put him into it at some stage. I was a bit worried when Artifactor was on our back, but when he went around